Chaz, back with Barrel or Nah.
Excited.
Look, we were talking, pull your mic like 3 inches away from your face further.
Is it
It's getting
getting
muffled.
feedback fuzz? Okay, sorry.
Just a little muffle when you go high volume. It kind of
I'm
distorts it a
back.
little
I'm
bit.
back in the sauna. I need to go back to the desk upstairs. Has a better auditory thing going on.
Yeah, no, it's good. At that distance, it's just right. Well, we were talking earlier in the show about restaurant experiences. So first Barrel or Nah, looking at a menu in advance before you go out at night. Like like
Oh,
you're going to a restaurant. My buddy was having his anniversary the other night, and so they have a fancy restaurant they want to go to, and he's studying the menu the morning of before they go out that night.
no barrel. I'm gonna say no barrel on that. Get to the restaurant if you like. Okay, I'm a menu studier if I'm trying to pick between restaurants and usually pick between low quality restaurants, right? Like if I'm out looking for a quick lunch and I'm thinking, oh, do I want the Euro place or the whatever or the whatever? I'm like between three kind of mid-tier to low-tier options. I'll quickly go because Google, the if you're Google mapping, the menu option is right there, right? So I'm
Yeah.
not like going to the website. I am quick menu, like look and see, quick, bad, and then make my decision based on there. If the decision is already made, you're going to this restaurant, what are you doing? Go be a sophisticated, take the menu, read it, decide what you want, then and there, order it.
So I'm taking the opposite approach. I'm going, this is full barrel. This brings me so much joy. You know, when you have something exciting that you're looking forward to, so much of the joy in it is the anticipation and the building up. You have a vacation planned in 6 months. That vacation only lasts 2 weeks, but I have 6 months of pining for it and fantasizing about what I'm going to do. And that's the exact same thing with the menu is I've got a bunch of work to do in these 8 hours of the day before we go out tonight. But you know what can spice up my day a little bit is checking out that menu and fantasizing for 3 minutes right now during my workday before we get there just to whet my palate.
It's funny because I totally hear you, and I feel I am the exact opposite side when it comes to finding out the sex of your unborn child. I'm all about finding out. I'm like,
Totally.
it's a surprise when you find out anyway. Like, well, you're getting the surprise early, and then you get to prepare and like think about it in that you can think of your unborn child as a real person instead of as an amorphous thing. Where to
Yeah.
me, and I get the people who want the surprise, but I feel like you're saying that the study the menu before, pick your thing, off you go, is the version of finding out the sex of your child. I'm advocating here for the wait until birth and be shocked at what comes out. I'm just saying, if you know where you're going and uh, you know that it's good. Like we're not just talking about going to a restaurant. We're talking about anniversary. What you said it was anniversary, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're talking about a special meal.
Yeah.
So you know you're going to get something special. And what do you like? I mean, what was the name of the restaurant? Do you know?
I have no idea.
But you basically know we're in Southern California here. There's basically three types of restaurants. There's Italian, there's New American, and there's also Italian, because you're not going to Mexican for your thing. So you know if it's Italian, okay, you know, maybe I hope they're gonna, and for sure they're gonna have a carbonara. Good, I'm looking forward to that. If it's New American, you know they're gonna have a fussy burger and
He got
a
the fuzzy burger, by the way.
did he get the fussy burger?
He got the burger with foie gras.
Yeah, fuzzy
And
burger.
then he was like, in the end, he's like, nobody needs foie on a burger. It's
It's
too
gross.
much. You know,
It's,
it's
I mean,
just too much.
I'll tell you what
More
nobody
isn't
needs on a
more.
burger is fussy. Like
Right.
the fussy burger is the you just need a good burger. I'm gonna
I know.
say the maximum you need if you really want to send it, bacon and avocado is, and that's almost too much there,
That's
I
too
feel.
much.
Yeah,
The bacon's too much, personally. So I agree with you. I've had phenomenal fussy burgers. The best of them weren't as good as a basic hamburger that I can make at home.
completely. I mean, I've started doing I didn't never understood the smash burger concept. I've started smashing mine at home,
Oh, yeah.
and it's like better than anything. It's like better than I can get out anywhere.
The smash burger revitalized my love of hamburgers.
Me too. I did not because I hated I hate a thick burger patty.
Of
I'm
course.
not eating. I mean, did we talk about? I think we did. When I was in France, all those years and years that I spent in France, uh, that I I never had really got into beef tartare. We talked about this, yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah, but so love beef tartare now. But when I'm eating a burger, I don't want beef tartare, which I feel a big, fat, medium rare patty. It's not tartare beef quality anyway, and you're just getting, I don't want that. I don't want that. Smash, and that's what you get at home, I always feel, is like a chubster.
yeah.
Smashing that thing down is how you solve all your problems, which I don't know why it took a restaurant named Smashburger for me to realize that you could actually do that. I thought like squishing it, you were wrecking it
Me
somehow.
too. No, when I was young, I was taught it was like a thick, juicy burger is the way to do it. Like, let me show you, kids.
Yeah.
And they grill it on, and you want a thick, juicy burger. And I never liked it that much. The
No,
ratio was all wrong. And so the smash
completely.
burger is a complete curveball that solves everything. The great part about the smash burger is the texture.
Yep.
It's crispy. You get a crispy crust on the burger. So, yeah, it is revolutionary. I think now, if you do a proper smash burger, you can actually do two patties because it's so thin that it's less meat than if you were to do one regular burger.
And that cheese in between patties is to die.
That's the best cheese. So my strategy for the smash burger, I've been working on it for a couple of years now. Cast iron skillet, of course, beef tallow. I buy
Hmm.
Wagyu beef tallow, which is fat, essentially. Um, so I use that as the lubricant, and then I get a ball of meat. I don't season it at all. Just use like Costco has Wagyu ground beef, a ball of meat, salt it, put the onions, chopped onions on the top part. Then you use parchment paper and your press because the press will stick to the onions and the meat, not the
Sure
onions, but the
does.
meat. So you use the parchment paper between to smash that all the way down. And then you just do, less than a minute, one flip, another minute, done.
Brilliant. I've done the bad job so far. This is going to solve my problems. I do yours in terms of putting the onion on top, but then I smash it real hard with the spatula and then I pick the spatula up and there's my burger hanging. And then I really got to
Yeah.
sort it out.
Parchment. And by the way, the spatula isn't heavy enough. You need a press that has weight. You can get them on Amazon for $10. It's a game changer. It really does smash it thinner. The other detail, I'm sure listeners figured it out, but when you put the onions on top, obviously they don't cook until the flip. But when you flip it, those then cook and they cook into the meat and they also caramelize. It's phenomenal.
I'm going to do smash burgers for dinner.
But don't look at the menu in advance.
Nope.
Okay. Another barrel and all coming in from the listener line this time. And I have a feeling that you will have a strong opinion.
Hey, David and Chaz. Ryan from New Jersey calling in for the grit. Have a barrel or not for you. Renewing your vows. If you read this on air, I will most likely be walking down the aisle, getting married in Chaz's favorite New Jersey town on the beach, Asbury Park, New Jersey. So I've been thinking about matrimony, obviously, the last couple of months, and renewing your vows came into my head. Barrel or not. One more barrel or not, separate from getting married. Um, Incorporating the term precisely in your vocabulary. I have noticed that Chaz loves to say precisely, so I started saying precisely. And I'll tell you what, the feedback has been fantastic. People think I'm smarter. I get more respect. I've been invited to a few science clubs around town. It's working very well for me. So barrel or not, saying the word precisely. Looking forward to seeing you both at the boardroom show in a few weeks. Maybe we can toast a few Merrick lagers. Thanks for all the work, gents. See you soon. Bye.
All right. Renewing your wedding vows.
Renewing your wedding vows. I love that precisely because precisely when used like seasoning, it means something, right? It is precisely that. It's not yeah or right or that. It is like that to a T. You have to use it that way. You don't use precisely if there's any gray in it is precisely that. In
Well,
it,
so that replaces for sure.
yeah, it does. Oh, precisely. Except for sure is more general. Precisely can replace part of for sure. So we can, because for sure might need to be replaced with a team, right? Like, which is what we're advocating for anyway, generally, is that one word as catch-all is not helpful to begin with. So
Gotcha.
precisely. In any case, I am an absolute no barrel on renewing wedding vows. No barrel at all. The wedding is bad enough in and of itself. You do not need to double down. The wedding is for the groom. The wedding is for the bride, right? And once you give her the wedding, you're done with that business. You don't go back to that embarrassing clown show where you, as adult man, are put in front of other people. You have to stand there receiving their gazes, like you as center of attention. Again, one of the rules for men, which I did not put in the Noble Rot show rules, but we will put them there that now, don't be the center of attention. Rarely is a modern man looking good as the center of attention. The wedding forces that upon you. Steer clear at any cost of the second wedding. First wedding, you've got to do. You are, it's, you got to do it. You've got to, you've just got to do it. There's no way around it. You do not have to do it again. And if you do it again, you're a sucker.
What about doing it privately? Like
Renewing
you
your
don't
vows?
you yeah, like renewing your vows with, I don't know, maybe not just you and your wife, but there's two or three friends, family that are there.
No, it's
Okay.
pointless. You
All right.
you live your vows, you made your vow. Why do you need to renew it? Like,
I don't know.
isn't a vow a permanent thing? I mean, and I know you and I have both walked down the aisle once and walked down the aisle again to a different woman. So clearly vows are not permanent always, but they should be ideally, and therefore should not. I don't go to my car dealership halfway through the lease and say, I'd like to renew the lease, not for longer. I would just like to let you know, let's do it again. Let me sign the paperwork again. We're going to, the same lease, same terms, same everything. But let's just can you put a bow on my car
J-
one more time? I
yeah,
really like that feeling.
just out of like to signify how much I loved the lease. I just want to go
Yes.
through the process again.
And we're going to do everything. We're going to like, we can use a different pen this time. It can be like a more casual pen, I
But we're
guess.
gonna
You
get
know?
photos too
Yeah, all of it, all of it. But it's
and
not
post
extending the
about it on
lease.
social media. Okay, well, I think you've convinced me. I don't think this happens often, but I was coming in here as a full barrel. Like, I'm obsessed with my wife. I will, you know what I mean? Like, I just want to indulge in it in her all the time, every day. I want to let her know. I want to let other people know. I want to showcase. I don't know. I'm all about it. Like, let's do lavish expressions of our love for one another, kind of a thing. Like, it's romantic, I guess, is what it is. But now that you talk about it, it's like, actually, I don't want to do that publicly. I don't want people staring at me. She will feel uncomfortable if people are staring at me and if I'm making a big scene about it. So what the hell? You're right. We don't want
Just
any of this. We want to do it
no.
in private. We'd rather not have all the attention.
If you feel, dear listener, the deep desire to renew your vows, throw an anniversary party, like throw a banging party, but where you, as male, if you're the male listener here, where you're putting focus on, like the way the party is planned is to focus spotlight on your wife. Uh, right? Like again, taking that spotlight, you do not want to do that, especially in this kind of thing, especially for something that, I mean, do you think John Wayne was out there renewing his vows and saying, look at me for being a good dude and sticking with it, right? I don't know that John Wayne was a good dude, but that's not the point. The point is we need to get back to a level of stoicism, of quiet, manly behavior that doesn't need to be looked at, that and prefers, even demands not to be looked at. Do not look at me. Do not look at me.
Okay, I agree with you. You won me over, but I'm gonna throw out another option here is throw that anniversary party, but it's not actually about your wife. What if it's about all of the friends and family in your life who have been supportive in the relationship? So
Perfect
it's we're doing it on our anniversary, but honestly,
for
we
you.
appreciate you guys' love and support. And so this party's about all of you. You like we would not be here in this position as a loving, happily married, successful couple if it weren't for the support of our parents and our siblings and our extended friends.
Spotlight out. Spotlight out is the
Exactly,
best.
exactly.
You as man, once again as husband, that one time you, and thankfully, at least modern American tradition, and I'm assuming Western tradition in general, The man only walks down the aisle to seat his mother. Otherwise, I don't even think he does that, right? That's the best man who does that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
think
don't think he
man
does that.
starts on stage. But I will tell you what, the two times that I was standing on stage, looking out, waiting with people just looking at me, were some of my least favorite moments in life, which includes being held in a Hezbollah dungeon and other things like that. Uh, Standing there, just people looking, your hands behind your back, you kind of trying to laugh with your, uh, and then it just keeps going and going until the music starts playing. And then brides coming down the aisle, people back and forth, looking at your reaction to, are you reacting right? Like the whole
You're
thing.
right.
Why would you do it again?
You're right. It's awful. So the funniest thing, can't wait for Cersei to hear this clip. The least favorite part of my life was standing at the altar. But I agree with you. It is not a comfortable position to be in.
It's zero. Like you want to get out of there, and not for what it means, all of that, but for that moment of being the center of attention. And if you had to be the center, like if somebody said, "Hey, you're up here to tell jokes," get at it, right? Like, here's a mic, this is stand up. I'd be like, okay, that's awkward, but at least I'm doing something, and maybe I'm actively failing at it, but at least I'm actively failing. That's
Yeah,
standing there when you're just, what am I doing with my hands?
right.
Where do my hands go? Hi, best man. We're up here together. Oh, hi, little wave. Like all of that.
That was by design, by the way, for everybody else to gawk at you. You
Yeah,
are the clown in this scenario, or just the fish in the aquarium. They're like, we want this guy to really show, like, all strip down everything and just show how he feels about this woman who he claims that he loves and he wants to marry. Now show us, and we're going to stare at you.
we're gonna stare. We better see tears.
Prove,
We better
prove.
see tears.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's what it
awkward.
is.
Yeah,
Um,
bad news.
when we got married, when it came to us saying our vows, I recited my vows to Lauren, and later, like at the after party, one of her best friends was like, "Nobody could hear you.
Yeah,
Like none of us could hear you reciting your vows." And I was like, "Duh, yeah." Because they're
yeah,
for Lauren. Like, what do
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, that was the intention. I'm communicating to her this very personal thing. Good. I'm glad you couldn't hear that. That was private.
That's the other bad part of the wedding and the vow renewal is that of both playing for this kind of thing, both playing your love to the person who you do love, and also if you have a microphone, right? If
Yeah.
you opt into this thing, playing it for the audience. I mean, we read our vows. Cersei crushed me on hers were way better than mine. But I went for the funny. I try it's a speech, like you can't just be up there earnest. Like, when I first met you, I really liked you. And then I fell in love with you. And, like all of it. And so you gotta try to spice it up and make it funny. But then you basically are doing stand-up,
Yeah.
and I'm not a stand-up.
Yeah. That's a great point. All right, fine. Don't renew your wedding vows. Terrible idea. In fact, no barrel. Okay, final one kind of relates, to be honest. Um, I was emailing with a buddy,
Yeah.
and in his email, he said, uh, my new lady friend is a new surfer, and we're going to come down to the boardroom show. You'll meet her, blah, 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 blah. So I emailed him back and I'm like, referring to your new girlfriend as your quote, lady friend is barrel or not? Like, is that barrel or not? And so then he replied back, before I let you chime in, I'll just read what he said. He said, quote, Clay Marzo layback barrel, but new is integral to the phrase. My new lady friend. It's only an option when you're actually describing this new relationship in conversation to your other friends. The ambiguity of the phrase is a widely understood wink wink. On the other hand, introducing the significant other as your lady friend is a nah of the highest order. Girlfriend, I guess that works. Partner, get effed. But new lady friend, wink, wink, yeah, brah. And this has me thinking I might introduce her as my girlfriend for the first time to you, David, at the boardroom show. Inside, she would melt like a bar of wax mistakenly left on a car bumper. then getting to tell her this entire story over Van Margaritas later that evening while simultaneously bringing her into the realm of Barrel or Knopf of the Barrel or Knopf fold would be epic. She'd find it hysterical and would only add to the memory of the moment. No pressure. I'll throw it out there at you if it's organic at the boardroom show.
Okay, great. I'm gonna say barrel for lady friend. You have to be over. I'm gonna say you gotta be 25 and over to use lady friend.
I was going to say 75.
I mean, that's where you'd think. But here's the thing with saying girlfriend, and this is precisely why I made Cersei Wallace marry me after 6 weeks or whatever it was, is I'm not calling you are too old to be a girlfriend. I am certainly too old to be a boyfriend. I'm not calling you partner. You're stuck. Let's get married. Like getting married is the easiest way to unstick yourself out of a situation. Because girlfriend, if like that's when you see older people with girlfriends, how awkward does that look to you? Like older people who say,
It
"This is my girlfriend" or "He's my boyfriend" when they're like 50, it's like
saying it is the
so
worst. Yeah.
cringy.
Yeah.
It's you can't do it. Lady friend is like super awkward Vegas style too. I think better than girlfriend because she's not a girl, she is a lady. And so it at least that's more representative of what this is in terms of age demographic. Uh, I like the problem is with lady friend, and would encourage your friend. Uh, if it gets too, again, I'm never about irony in terms of communication. If it gets ironic, this is my lady friend, wink, wink, then you're layering like I'm Pat Boone. And this is like it gets layered with too much irony. You should use it earnestly. You should say, I got this. She is my lady friend. Like, I don't know what to tell you. She's too old to be a girl, and she's my lady friend. Like that's what she is. Until I marry her, then she will be my wife.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're nailing it. It's the usage of this phrase is so limited in one's life that it's barrel to use it in that instance. I'm
In
just
that
apprehensive to
given
label
moment.
it as barrel because then people are going to just allow themselves to roll it out any old time. But the reality is you're only going to be dating for a limited period of time of your life, presumably. And the window that you're with that person where you can refer to them as lady friend is probably only weeks long, maybe a
Yep.
month or two at the most, right? Because then you transition to girlfriend and other phases. I mean, in the first couple of dates, you don't even refer to them as anything because you're just trying to suss out whether you want to go on a third date with them, let's say. So that lady friend lasts from like date 3 to maybe date 10 max.
I would advocate though that if you're over, let's say over 30, if you're over 30, lady friend should replace girlfriend full stop. That is now your lady friend. That's what you say. That's what she is.
But if
That you
but if
just,
you're over 30 and you're dating her for 2 years before you get married, you can't say lady friend at 18 months.
I mean, I guess 30 is okay for girlfriend. I mean, when Cersei Wallace and I got married, I was 34 and I felt way too old to be a boyfriend at 34.
Yeah.
Like I
Well,
felt it was
that's why you're
awkward.
advocating to get married. I'm just saying most people aren't going to get married after 6 weeks. They're going to date for
I'm
two
just
years.
I'm just saying the divorce is a lot better than the awkwardness of calling somebody your girlfriend for 2 years.
All right, let it be known. So you're going barrel?
I'm going barrel on lady friend.
Okay.
I dislike girlfriend so much and boyfriend that I'm going barrel.
Yeah, okay. I'm going barrel too, but only use it sparingly during that essential period. And I agree with him in that period, it is the perfect term.
We had one
So
more quick submission. I don't know if you got it. This one we don't really have to discuss. I think just it needs to be laid down. It was a great one. It is from Elizabeth Montalbano. Do you know her?
yeah, I remember her. She's from Portugal. She's like a teacher in
Exactly.
Portugal. Yeah.
Exactly. Portuguese listener. So she DM'd in, and I felt this one, I can't believe we hadn't discussed it, about how she was changing mid-change, and somebody came up and started talking to her about the waves or whatever, right? But talking to someone mid-change is an absolute no barrel.
While she was like towel changing.
Towel changing, like
That is so funny.
definitely nude. But I feel like I've been stuck in this a lot too. Like wetsuit either halfway up or halfway down, towel changing, and somebody come up and like, hey, And then you're like, I mean, for a man, it's way easier.
Yeah,
For a woman, though, there's like a process, I would imagine,
totally.
in the towel change whole thing. And so to talk to a woman while mid towel change, no
That is
barrel.
so funny. I have no problem with somebody doing it to me as a male. I've never even thought twice about it, but you're
And
right. If I saw a woman doing it, I wouldn't engage her while she's changing.
the problem is, though, if you're talking to somebody and you're towel changing in, you're just like, boop, it's a quickie. But changing out of when you're like, taking it down and like kind of wiggling, like you're putting somebody in a bad spot for
Yeah.
conversation.
You know what's funny? I Towel changing was just so commonplace for me growing up surfing, but I towel changed in front of Lauren's grandma a couple of weeks ago. We were by a pool and she called me out on it. She like said something to indicate that it was inappropriate for me to do. And
Wow.
yeah. And I was like,
Don't you
really?
surf,
Like,
Grandma?
well, you don't see anything. Like when I towel change, you see my shins and you
Yeah.
see my torso.
Yeah.
Like I'm a very effective at doing it to where you're not going to get a peek of anything. But just the idea of me, I guess, dropping my pants in front of the family, even though I was covered by a towel, the idea of it was inappropriate, I guess. And she wasn't like giving me a hard time or trying to shame me, but she did say it.
You're
And
exactly right, though.
I was shocked by that.
You're exactly right that it is so commonplace in surf life that I never think about it twice either. Like if I'm
Yeah,
at a hotel and, I don't like, oh, I got to go get in my bathing suit, go up to the room if I happen to
no,
be at the pool with my suit and dress,
yeah,
then and how many times have you ever dropped a towel accidentally? Like, oops,
never.
there it goes. Which is, there's a lot of stuff happening there where you'd think that would be like 1 in 20, maybe. It's never happened, I don't think, to me in my entire life, unless I was like wanted it to or was like giving up, like, nobody's here anyway. There's a pain. Toss the towel and finish your deal. But otherwise, never accidental drop towel.
I've retucked the towel
Of course, you
multiple
fix it.
times. Yeah, like
Sometimes you got to
half the
fix it.
time I'm adjusting and then it comes loose and I just retuck it, but I could feel it coming loose in advance. So there's never
Yeah.
an issue.
No, it never like
Um,
accidentally, uh-oh.
yeah, it's funny that whole etiquette of towel changing. I remember there was one time where, the car pulls up and they're like, "Are you leaving your parking spot?" And you're like, "I am, but it's going to take me 5 minutes to like load up and towel change and stuff." So there was a woman parked behind me, staring right at me, and she was on a phone call waiting for me to move. And I could, how you can hear people's phone call?
Yeah.
Their car speakers are
Especially when it's
so,
Bluetooth. Yeah.
yeah, it was a Bluetooth situation. So I could like hear her whole conversation she was having with the woman that she was talking to. And the woman on the phone must have asked her, like, what are you doing right now? Or something like that. And she said, I'm just watching this guy change in front of me, hoping I get a peek.
Oh, how good did that make
she
you feel?
she like made some sexual comment to her friend about me and I'm sure I blushed. She probably had no she thought that she wasn't being heard, obviously, you know what I mean, but I was like
That's
felt
about
like
as
a
good a compliment as like if that would have happened to me, that would have been the best compliment I had ever received in my entire life.
I don't know that I felt particularly like good about it. I thought it was kind of funny for her to say to her friend, but I felt kind of sheepish about it, to be honest.
I would have felt so good. I would have
Hmm.
felt like king for the week.
Now that I think about it, I should have given her a little show.
You should have.
That was a free pass, actually.
Lost opportunity.
Yeah, lost opportunity.